Right, so a lot of people think the recently launched Xiaomi 12 Pro and the soon-to-launch Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra are going to be two of the best Android smartphones that are available to buy in 2022. So in this video, we're going to see exactly why and check out what the main differences between the two are expected to be. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you're one of the first to see the unboxing and review content, which is due to drop probably sooner than you expect. So three of Xiaomi's big features on their new flagship are, number one, the next-gen Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset, a 50-megapixel triple rear camera setup, and a 6.73-inch Quad HD Plus LTPO AMOLED display. But before we get into all of those juicy positives, there are a few things that they've actually left out which may be of concern to you. The 12 Pro does come with 8K video on the rear, but still, and a bit bizarrely for a 2022 flagship, still only 1080p on the front camera. The iPhone 13, the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, the Google Pixel 6 Pro as examples, all have 4K on the front, and they are last year's flagships. Seems a strange omission, a strange oversight, as does the actual USB 2.0 technology. Again, compared to many flagships from even last year, the data transfer speeds will be slower. For reference, the Galaxy S22 Ultra is rumoured to be the same as last year's S21 Ultra at USB 3.2, with 4K video on the front and 8K on the back. Yeah, you like the Mini-Me as well, do you? Good, thanks for that, Dotty. And out the way so I can continue the video. Go on, don't sit right in front of the camera. You. It's a good job you're a cutie. Now, one area the Samsung device may fall short is, and this is an ongoing theme with Samsung devices, the chipset. Traditionally, if you're from the US, for example, you would get Samsung phones with Qualcomm Snapdragon chipsets. In the S22 Ultra's case, the same 8 Gen 1 that we see in the Xiaomi 12 Pro. But if you're from the UK, for example, traditionally you would be getting the in-house Exynos chip powering your Samsung device. Same appearance of phone, slightly different main powering component inside. This is due to agreements between Qualcomm and Samsung in the past, which according to reports, stopped Samsung from using their own Exynos chip in certain regions, in favour for paying less royalties for using certain Qualcomm works. But the discrepancy has always been felt most in performance. Samsung have been closing the gap recently on Qualcomm in terms of performance, but I know a lot of you that get the Exynos variant in your region still feel a little bit shortchanged. Early rumours were that Samsung might finally release all region devices with the Gen 1, but recent benchmarks have shown up to suggest a said Gen 1 version and an Exynos 2200 variant, which does appear to fall short in the single-core scores comparable in the multi-core. So depending on where you live, the Xiaomi 12 Pro may, in terms of performance, be a slightly better option for you. Marginal, but nevertheless there. Early days, performance untested personally as of right now, but something to note. Pun intended. Because as you can see from the design of the rumoured S22 Ultra, it is incredibly Note-like, from the boxy squared off edges right through to the inclusion of an inbuilt S Pen. The last few Galaxy S and Note devices over the last few years have been gradually getting closer and closer together, both in design and specs. So the natural progression you could see happening would be to fuse the two. Quite whether we just get an S series phone this time around like last year, or whether we get a just Note line, or whether we get a fuse of the two, S22, S22 Plus, and an S22 Note, possibly replacing the Ultra, or variants of it, is to be seen. But it does seem that Note lovers may have only just missed out on a device for them for only 1 year. Both will run on Android 12, but Samsung have their new One UI 4 and Xiaomi their MIUI 13. Both, of course, are very similar in many senses because they share the same core, but they also feel quite different to actually use. Animations, widgets, lock screens, and notifications are some of the alterations we've seen this time around. Both have their pros and cons. Let me know in the comment section whether you would like to see a full video on this. And speaking of full, the Galaxy S22 Ultra's 5000 mAh battery is rumoured to be 70% so within around 35 minutes, thanks to its 45-watt fast charging. In comparison, the Xiaomi 12 Pro can charge its smaller 4600 mAh battery to full in just 18 minutes, thanks to its 120-watt fast charger, which is just insane at this point pretty stupid. I mean, what would you prefer, a bigger battery or faster charging? So I mentioned the Xiaomi 12 Pro's really impressive display, but in truth, both phones will be pretty similar in this department because, as you would probably guess, both panels are made by Samsung. The S22 Ultra, according to the latest leaks, will also sport an adaptable 120Hz Quad HD Plus AMOLED screen, and both will have Gorilla Glass Victus. Both will also be lugging a pretty hefty camera rig on their backs, although it does seem that Samsung will possibly have an advantage in this area. Not only would it apparently have an extra lens, in this case an additional periscope lens with 10x optical zoom alongside the standard 3x optical zoom telephoto lens, but the camera housing appears aesthetically, in my opinion anyway, far better also. Very sleek. You may receive slightly sharper images if you crop in on ultra-wide angle shots on the 12 Pro, thanks to the larger 50 megapixel ultra-wide compared to the 12 megapixel on the S22 Ultra. But you may have the results reversed on the primary lens, as on the S22 Ultra, it's rumoured to have a 108 megapixel lens and of course another 50 on the 12 Pro's primary. I think the one biggest takeaway from the camera department between the two phones is that the Xiaomi 12 Pro's 2x optical zoom only seems a little bit off for, again, a 2022 flagship. Two fantastic looking smartphones, both I'm sure you'll be very, very happy with, but which would have your vote? Would you go with the S22 Ultra from what you've heard so far, very soon to launch of course, and the Xiaomi 12 Pro which has just launched? And do you think either of them will outsell, as an example, the iPhone, the latest 2022 iPhone this year? Let me know in the comments, sub to the channel if you're new and want to see more content like this. I love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next one. Say ASBYT, peace out.